Hey, it's Anthony, and today I just want to share with you, I made my first sales call and it went it went pretty badly. And so I just want to let you learn from the mistakes I made. So hopefully when if you ever do a sales call, it doesn't end up as bad as mine. Okay, so what happened was let's think of what's a generic female name? Let's do Jane. I like Jane. All right. So Jane, I decided to call up Jane, for a service I was trying to sell, and so I'm like, all right, I got everything prepared. I got all my questions I need to ask. Okay, I need to go through this list, go from point A to point B, small talk, then point B to point C. Ask about the business, and then ask her if she's interested, if she needs the service, learn more about her, let her do the talking. So, I got the basic gist of how to do a sales call. But if you've never done a sales call before, what's going to happen is if you're nervous like me, you're probably going to freeze up when the call actually happens. And that's what happened to me. So what happened was, it was 12 p.m. So I'm like, okay, it's time to call up Jane. So I'm like, hey, hello, is this Jane? Yeah, it's Jane. Yeah, how are you? And why don't you introduce yourself? Oh, I'm Anthony. I was didn't think yeah, I work for a company, and I was wondering if you need help with your business. And then it keeps going on, and I tell her the price, and it's like, oh, okay, I'm not. It's too much for me right now. During COVID, it's I don't have the funds right now. Oh, okay. I hope we have a great day. You too. Bye bye. And that's basically how it ended. And you think I might be exaggerating a little bit, but that's kind of what happened. I was a little bit more cheerful, I was talking like this, just being normal, but I did not expect to end up freezing in front. It's like when I started making my first YouTube video. I was just, incredibly nervous for no reason whatsoever. And so the first thing that I want to point out was when you do your sales call, when you end your sentences, don't be like me and end it with an upwards inflection. So I was like saying, yeah, I'm Anthony. When you do that inflection, what happens is it sounds like you're asking a question you aren't sure of yourself. So if I'm like, yeah, I'm Anthony, it's like saying, yeah, am I really Anthony? I think I'm Anthony. And what that does is they like people who know what they're talking about, what their service is. So if you're just like starting from the point where you're just not confident, well, you're probably not going to gain the trust of the other person easily. The second point is I had no clue what to expect. So what happened was she ended up taking the lead on the conversation. I was there for the roller coaster ride. I did not lead her to the roller coaster. I didn't do anything. I was just taken for a ride. And what happens is that's why in the very beginning she asked for, yeah, what's the product and what's the price? And I ended up giving her the price, and the problem was it's just since the price point was so high, she didn't expect that. Let's say the service I'm offering is $200. I'm like, yeah, it costs $200. From her mind, it's like, wow, $200. I could pay rent with that money. That seems a little too obsessive. But I didn't get to because I suck at leading right now. What happened was I didn't get to explain to her how I could turn that $200 to $400 and maybe even $1,000 in a month. I just told her, yeah, I can get you customers. It costs $200. And the problem was she didn't really get to see, it was truly that important to her. Just during the time she said she was a little low on funds because of COVID, and it's crazy right now because we can only do face to face nowadays for some businesses. And I didn't get to explain to her how having more customers, having that more stability, more income can actually help her in her life. And that's where I failed. All right. So step number two is if it's a high price point, make sure to lead her. Tell her that you'll tell the price later, but just let her know that you don't want to give the price right away because they're gonna have an automatic assumption. They're gonna just tag it to something that they think is not worth it probably. The third mistake I did was I did not know how to introduce myself properly. Now, it sounds kind of silly, but you should have like some sort of elevator pitch where you don't sound incredibly scammy, but it sounds like you, but it sounds like you know what you're doing, and so when I was trying to talk about myself, I'm like, yeah, I'm Anthony. I work for a company. Yeah, I have a dog. You like dogs? You see, what happened was I didn't get to describe myself properly as someone who is a consultant who knows marketing pretty well, but I wasn't able to convey that properly. I was like, yeah, you like dogs? I like dogs. Who doesn't love dogs? And it just came out very, uh, not just unprofessional, but it was just, sounds like a random kid just calling up a phone. And that's not the type of, if you're trying to sell something that's a high price point, you want to at least sound professional and confident in what you're selling. Because I actually do believe in the product I'm selling, but through the tone of my voice, it just did not sound like that. So that's what you want to keep in mind. Have some sort of elevator pitch that you can introduce yourself so that you come out confident and you know exactly how to tackle it and how to explain yourself. The fourth thing, which is I think I did a pretty good job, is basically you want the person to like you. Like if you think about it, you haven't bought a product from someone you didn't like. Like let's say you go to a car dealer and he's just snobby and he's just like, yeah, I'd like to buy a car. And he's like, huh, you would like to buy a car? Ha! You of all people? Yeah. And it's not like it, unless the car is incredibly cheap and there's no scammy, no suspicious thing, it's unlikely you're gonna buy it just because you don't like the person. So when you start up a conversation, you do some small talk. That's what I recommend. You figure out what you can genuinely like about the person. When I talk to the person, she's been working at her job for 40 years. And I'm like, wow, that was amazing. And then I just talked to her about it, how she got into it. And what happened was she got excited telling about her story, telling about how she got into this business, why she enjoys it, why she enjoys helping other people through this. And it just really opened my eyes that the one way to get people to open up to you and maybe even consider, what you're selling is just be like be a likable person. See, if you're a likable person, it makes things a lot easier because you're not just some dude that's trying to force her to sell something against her will, but more like someone who's like, yeah, I got something to offer. I'll tell you the benefits A, B, and C. If you like it, yeah, perfect. If you don't, that's fine. So yeah, just come out as a likable person. And the last thing that I also did think I did a pretty good job, but basically what you want to do is you want to let the business owner do a lot of the talking. So you want to lead them. So right from the beginning, you got to lead them, just like a ballroom dance, you got to lead them everywhere. But what happens is you got to lead them, but you got to make sure that you let them do most of the talking, which I think I did a pretty good job. She was talking, like if we had a phone call for 10 minutes, I think she did 8 minutes of talking, which is in my mind pretty successful first sales call. So what happens is you want to make sure that you let her do the talking, but after she's, she pauses for a couple seconds and then she has nothing to add on. What you want to do is you want to ask questions that lead her into, maybe talking about her business, maybe even little bit more small talk before, she finds you as an actual person rather than a robot. And you just want to lead her with the questions and you want to let her talk about the business, because the person who knows most about the business is probably the owner themselves, because they've probably been in it for a long time and they've probably been longer than you. So that's my 5 tips for so those are some of my suggestions if you ever do make a sales call. I know I'm not the most perfect, but maybe you'll learn something from me so you don't end up being like a nervous wreck for absolutely no reason. And I think that over time, I'll probably get better. I'll probably know exactly what to do and know what to expect. And that's probably what you should do too if you've never done the sales call before. All right, see you later. Peace out. Oh yeah, if you have any questions, leave a comment below. All right, peace out.